So let's just get right into it. Look, if studying feels like pulling teeth, congratulations. That actually means your brain is working exactly like it's been trained to. But what if we could totally reprogram that system? And I'm not talking about willpower here. I'm talking about a specific dopamine-driven routine that can literally make your brain start to crave studying.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You sit down, the books are open, you've carved out the time, but actually starting, man, it feels like trying to push a giant boulder uphill. It's just so frustrating, almost unbearable sometimes. But here's the thing. The reason it feels that way, it's probably not what you think.
And this quote just nails it. The problem isn't your phone. It's not the device itself. The real addiction is to that instant hit of dopamine. See, your phone has trained your brain to expect a reward, like right now. And when you put that up against studying, well, studying's reward is way, way down the road. Our brains just can't compete with that. It's a total mismatch.
All right, so let's get into the actual science here. Because, and this is super important, this is not a personal failing. You're not lazy, you're not unmotivated. This is just brain chemistry, plain and simple. And once you understand how your brain is wired, you can start working with it, instead of constantly fighting against it.
Okay, so here's where things get really interesting, because this flips a huge misconception on its head. We all think of dopamine as the pleasure chemical, right? But it's not. It's the motivation chemical. It's the get up and go chemical. It gets released when your brain thinks a reward is on the way, which is what pushes you to actually do the thing.
And this right here, this is exactly why we're losing the battle against distraction. Think about it. When you're scrolling on your phone, your brain is getting a tiny little dopamine hit over and over and over, every half a second. But studying, the reward for that is maybe an hour away, maybe a day away. Your brain is basically a reward calculator, and it's always going to choose the quick, easy win, every single time.
So what does this all mean? It means we have to stop fighting a battle against laziness, because that's a battle we're never going to win. The real enemy here, the real opponent, is dopamine timing. And once you realize that, once you frame the problem correctly, well, then you can start building a system that's actually designed to win. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. This is a 4-phase routine, a whole system designed to hack your brain's reward system and make studying feel, well, not just bearable, but actually addictive.
So here's the game plan. It's a 4-step process. First, we're going to do a detox to kind of reset your brain's dopamine levels. Then we'll create a trigger to get you hyped up for studying. After that, we'll talk about how to drop into that flow state, that deep focus. And finally, the most important part, we'll build a loop that makes the whole thing a repeatable, addictive habit. Okay, so that first phase, the pre-study detox, this is the foundation for everything. And the best part? It only takes 10 minutes. Seriously, just 10 minutes to completely shift your brain into a state where it's ready to learn. Think about it. Most of us jump into studying with our brains already buzzing from our phones, from music, from everything. It's a total recipe for failure. So the solution is ridiculously simple. For 10 minutes, just be bored. Sit quietly. No phone, no music. Just let your brain's engine cool down. This literally resets your dopamine baseline, and what that does is it makes boring tasks feel way, way less boring. All right, so your brain is reset. It's a clean slate. Now we need to create a deliberate dopamine spike. This step is absolutely critical. What we're doing here is training your brain. We're teaching it to connect the action of starting to study with that awesome feeling of anticipating a reward. This is how you build that positive association from the ground up. And look, this doesn't have to be complicated. It can be anything that gets you a little amped up. You could blast your favorite pump-up song for just 90 seconds, or maybe do some quick jumping jacks. You could even just chew a piece of gum. That actually helps with focus. The whole point is to get a little burst of dopamine and noradrenaline going. That's the perfect chemical cocktail to get your brain ready to focus. Okay, now for phase 3. This is what some people call the illegal technique because it honestly feels like cheating. The secret is don't start with the hard stuff, ever. Instead, start with something ridiculously easy, like just write the title of the chapter, or read only 5 lines, or solve one super simple practice problem. Why? Because you get an immediate win, an instant little dopamine hit for completing a task. And that tricks your brain. It starts thinking, hey, wait a minute, maybe studying does give fast rewards. And that, right there, is what starts to flip the addiction switch. Okay, so now we get to the real engine of this whole system, phase 4. This is the part that makes it stick. This is where we build the actual addiction loop that's going to train your brain for the long term. So, how long should you actually study for? You might think an hour, maybe 45 minutes, right? Nope. Turns out the sweet spot, the magic number for getting into that deep focus without totally burning out, is just 23 minutes. Here's how the loop works. You focus hard for 23 minutes. Then, and this part is non-negotiable, you take a 60-second micro-reward. Just 1 minute. Listen to a song, do a quick stretch, whatever. And then you get right back to it. You just repeat that cycle. Study, reward, study, reward. What you're doing is training your brain, showing it over and over that studying leads to a reliable, frequent dopamine hit. It starts to trust the process. So you might be wondering, why on earth does this actually work so well? Let's peel back the curtain and look at the neuroscience. Because this isn't just a random collection of life hacks. This whole system is built on a real powerful principle called neuroplasticity. What you're doing is literally rewiring your brain on command. Think of it like this. Right now, there's a huge mental gap between the effort of studying and the reward. But every single time you complete one of these study-reward loops, you are physically making that gap smaller and smaller. You're teaching your brain to expect a reward sooner. And because of that, studying just starts to feel easier. Your brain actually learns to expect satisfaction from the act itself. And here's the absolute craziest part of this whole thing. This rewiring process, it doesn't take months or years. It can happen fast. After about a week, just 7 days of doing this consistently, your brain can actually start to see studying itself as a high dopamine rewarding activity, all on its own.
And that's really the key here. We're hijacking the brain's addiction mechanism, but we're pointing it at something good, something productive. You're building a new kind of addiction. You start to crave the feeling of making progress. You crave the routine. And yeah, eventually, you actually start to crave the act of studying. It's the good kind of addiction.
So, look, I don't want to just explain this stuff to you. I want to actually challenge you. Because you're not unmotivated. Your brain has just been playing the game on hard mode. It's time to show it a different way. It's time to take back your focus. Just give it 1 week. That's it. Follow these 4 phases and just see what happens. I'm telling you, that awful feeling of dread you get before studying, it can actually turn into a feeling of anticipation. The chore can become a habit that you actually genuinely want to do.
So I'll leave you with this question. What if you could build discipline without ever needing to use discipline? Because that's what this is all about. It's not about forcing yourself through the pain. It's about rewiring your brain so the things that make you successful are the very things you naturally want to do.